Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Parenting Pickup, a podcast simply made to help families with trending topics and so much more. We are positive you will pick up tidbits of helpful tips, tricks, activities, and advice when listening to our podcast. I'm your host, Kara.
And I'm also your host, Ashley. Thanks for listening. We are excited to have MiaLisa Malares join us today. MiaLisa is the executive director at Doing Good Together and is passionate about working with families, youth, and children to promote caring, kindness, and family engagement. Welcome, MiaLisa.
Oh, thanks for having me here today. I'm excited to be here.
Well, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am first and foremost a wife and a mother. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they always keep me on my toes and busy when you're a full-time working mom. I started as a teacher. I was a substitute back in Brooklyn, New York, which is my hometown. And I was a long-term sub for 4th grade and for art and for music. And I loved working with kids. I came from a long line of teachers in my family. And I decided that I wanted to do something in the nonprofit field. So I studied peace education. It was really focused on curriculum development at the time. And after going through that program, I decided, I really want to work in the law. I want to try to be able to implement change and work with systems. So I moved out to Minnesota because my family was living in Minnesota at the time. And I studied and really fell in love with mediation. Mediation is where I spent probably 10 years of my career. And it's kind of an interesting area because it really trains you to be able to talk with people and to be able to deal with conflict, to hear both sides of the story. And I love those pieces of that work. I've also simultaneously worked with families in a faith community setting and with kids, so that passion for working with kids kind of carried through. And so when the job opened up at Doing Good Together, it was a real mix of all of the things that I love, the teaching, the being able to run a business, which of course those skills you get from law school, and then also the ability to work with parents and with kids and to be able to teach kindness and compassion and to talk about those really big issues, how to have difficult conversations, and to be there for parents, to be able to help teach and create those tools for them to be able to really work and to give back to the community. And so I'm really delighted to be a part of Doing Good Together because it's a privilege to be able to work in a community that truly cares about kindness and gratitude. How many people get to wake up every morning and say, I'm going to a job that I love and that I'm really, truly passionate about?
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Doing Good Together today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 4 basic programs at Doing Good Together. We have a Parenting with Purpose program, and that program really connects with a blog, a number of different tools that parents can use that are super useful. So we actually have book lists that are curated on different topics, so book lists on mindfulness or nature-loving books, so parents are able to just kind of go to the library, pick up some books, and know that there's some great topics for conversations. Then we also have conversation starters that are paired with those books, and then projects as well that are connected to all of it. So you have this kind of amazing experience with books and conversations and projects, and we connect that all in the blog and in the newsletter so that you're able to find them based on topics that our parents are interested in. Their second program is volunteering. We have 10 different cities across the United States that we are connected with and that we create these listings for parents to be able to go in and look and say, what would I like to do with my kids today? Do I want to do something in person? Do I want to do something virtually? Do I want to do something with the elderly or with kids? We give a very good variety so that they have this opportunity to open the listing and go and do something instead of spending their time researching how to do it. So that's been a very useful tool for families. And we also provide some wraparound resources in that listing. So if they want to continue the learning, they can simply click on the little books in between the listings and it'll show them how to go ahead and continue this learning with their family at home with our Parenting with Purpose program. Our third program is Family Service Fairs. And our family service fairs are where we connect with nonprofit organizations and create an event that has a number of different tables. Each of the tables represents a different nonprofit, and there's an activity to do where kids and their families can come and actually work and do something very, very meaningful that's going to give back to the community. It lets them learn about these different nonprofits and really connect to the idea of giving back in an intergenerational kind of way. And so that's the family service. We have one last program, and that's actually our membership and our classroom program. And so if people really like what we do and love our free programming that's out there, they can actually pay a subscription to do some membership or some classroom work. And that actually goes a little bit deeper and gives some more resources and tools, either for a classroom or for Girl Scout leaders or youth leader kind of work, or just for families in general. So we have a lot of different ways to kind of connect with our organization.
Absolutely. Those are wonderful. And I can speak as a parent of young children. And I have been to some of the service learning fairs, and they have been incredibly powerful experiences for my family in terms of thinking of my children. I remember one in particular we went to, and there was a container with laundry detergent and the liquid laundry detergent, and they were filling up little containers, and it was for teenagers who were homeless and needed laundry detergent. Then there was another one with like soap and basic care materials. And my son would absolutely not leave that particular area because he was really struggling with someone not being able to have some of those basic supplies in school. And he was a new elementary school child. And he was like, Mom, I'm going to fill up as many as I can because I think at school, kids might make fun of you because you don't have clean clothes or because you have dirty hair. And he said, so I'm going to fill up every single container they have here because this is so important. And for me, that was when a light bulb went off on how he was probably 8 at the time, and that it really resonated with him as how he could make a difference for others. And it was a really powerful experience. So I think the work that you're doing at Doing Good Together is really amazing. So thank you to you and your team for all your work, because I, as a parent, have experienced that impact. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. As parents, we want our children to be kind and compassionate. So tell us, why is that important? And why is empathy important?
Yeah, so there's a number of different studies and research pieces that we actually rely on at Doing Good Together, that we've relied on to be able to structure our programming to kind of the best fit for families. One of them was a study that came out from the Sesame Street Foundation, which is called K is for Kindness. And that particular study really talked about how parents and teachers worry that the world can really be an unkind place at times. And despite that, 75% of parents really prioritize kindness over academic achievement, which is kind of an interesting little piece, right? There's another study that kind of follows up on that, and that's the Harvard Making Caring Common study. And that particular study actually surveyed 10,000 middle and high school students from 33 schools, diverse youth from across the nation. And it really talked about how even though parents have this caring and kindness as their top priority, that kids actually believe that parents' top priority is academic achievement or happiness. Now, obviously, those are good priorities as well, but when they don't align like that, research calls that a rhetoric gap, right? Parents want one thing as their priority, and kids are perceiving that to be something else. So we start to think about, well, why is that? Why is there that rhetoric gap? What's the disconnect? And so when I think about that, one of the things is, what do we say to our kids on a regular basis, right? And I know when my kids came home from school, I'd say things like, how was your day? What did you accomplish today, right? How did you do on that test, right? These are all good questions. We want to connect with our kids. We want to ask these questions. We want them to prioritize achievement, of course. But if kindness is the number one priority, then maybe those questions need to shift a little bit.
I mean, what you're saying are the same exact questions I ask my children every day. And I, as a parent, would say I prioritize kindness. But my questions are not leading in that direction. I'm always asking, how was your math test? And how was your day? And I don't ask about kindness. So that's a really good point.
Right. So thinking about, and of course, you want to know how their test was and how they did. And academics is important, especially when we're here in Minnesota and we know about achievement gaps. I definitely want to reiterate how important it is, but I think it needs to go hand in hand with the kindness, right? And so rephrasing some of those questions. Who did you help today? Who helped you today? Were you kind to anyone today? What happened that you're grateful for, right? Thinking about the questions we ask as what we're asking about in their lives, what's important to us. And so when you frame it that way, it's a little different. So what I love about our resources at Doing Good Together is it allows parents to take the legwork out of all of those pieces and be able to just reach for the website, find some books about gratitude or mindfulness, and they're already made questions, right? And it's this opportunity to do something small, to start with one thing as a parent and think, okay, this is what I want to prioritize. How am I going to move forward with that? Well, I'm going to shift some of the questions that I'm asking, or I'm going to take a little piece of time each day to be able to really focus on kindness or on gratitude or on giving back, whatever that is. And I think that little shift can make a really big difference in our kids' lives.
I agree. And that seems like something really easy. Don't you agree, Ashley?
Absolutely. And as a parent of an infant, just taking those little steps here and there with those simple questions and just making that kind of the new norm is something easy that I can take with me and ask my infant.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that the things that we pull together at Doing Good Together really do intertwine all of those three things. They intertwine the kindness, the gratitude, the happiness, and the academics, because we have found that reading is so important to building empathy for kiddos. And being able to read and place yourself in someone else's shoes, those stories, those picture books really help kids to be able to understand those big picture issues. That coupled with doing projects like you were saying, Kara, bringing your children to give them opportunities to be able to learn about people whose experiences are much different than my own, right? Allows you to step into someone else's shoes and to really experience empathy and to be able to care deeply about what's going on in the world.
I agree. And I think it's lovely that your organization is curating books, because as a parent, I'm not certain that I know what are the right books that land and send the message that I want to, because there are, millions, billions, trillions of books on Amazon, and the title looks good, but then you purchase it and you're like, I don't think that's the message I was going for. So it's really helpful to have experts identifying those books for us to make our job a little bit easier, because, as a full-time working mom, that is not something I have time to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know when my kids are struggling in a various area, I will go and I call it Bibliotherapy. I don't know if that's an actual thing or not, but I will go and get books if they're having trouble with sharing or with maybe entitlement or something like that. I'm able to go and look for these books, find what I'm looking for, and give them a nice dose of books on a regular basis, which I think is so helpful. And as an adult reading those picture books, there's something really beautiful about it, because the simplicity of the message can even speak to adults, to our own hearts and kind of what we're hoping to achieve for the day and what we're hoping to do for that day.
I agree. I think that those messages are important for us to hear again, just reminders, because I think we can get busy with the day-to-day of everything that's happening and sometimes not show the empathy we should be showing right now, and not always putting ourselves in someone else's shoes as we should. And that's an important role for us as families too. And so I love your bibliotherapy, even if it's not a real thing. I think it should be, because it makes a lot of sense that we can learn a lot and glean a lot through children's books as well as our children. It's shared learning opportunities for sure.
It is, and there's something about the multitasking that happens in this kind of way when you're spending time with your kids, when you're reading books with them, when you're doing these projects that connect to the values that you want to be teaching them, to the values that parents, obviously from these studies, really hold as dear and important. You're getting this opportunity to multitask in what I know is a busy 24-hour period, you're getting time together, you're sharing your values, you're having an opportunity to do something good, which we now know from brain science actually gives you this great brain boost, right? It actually makes you feel good, and there's a reason for it. Something's happening in your brain that allows you to actually want to do more. And there's something about doing something, like when your son did that project, there's something about spreading ripples of kindness that it inspires people to want to do more. They'll talk about it, and it will be this inspiration to his friends or to your other child's friends to be able to kind of move forward and do other wonderful good things. That spreading of kindness is a thing. It's real. And I love that that's part of the work that I do.
I think that's very, very powerful. And you talking about kind of that brain boost makes me think about brain development. We know in early childhood that the most powerful brain development happens between birth and age 5. So doing these things now, like Ashley has an infant, doing things young and now, and at all ages, of course, but right now, those are the times that we're building those important brain connections. So it's really critical to start young.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things about starting young that's kind of amazing, like I said, my kids are 9 and 7 and 2. And so you would think, oh gosh, I have to do very different things with the 9-year-old than the 2-year-old. But there are so many ways to incorporate all of them in kind of that one-room schoolhouse kind of effect, where I can be reading something, and I have been amazed over the last few years how much my 2-year-old actually picks up from what I'm reading to the 9-year-old. When I had just one child, I was reading the little picture books. But now that I have older children, I'm reading chapter books. And my 2-year-old is picking up tons of information from the dense books that I'm reading. She's following along, which amazes me. And I think that when you think about these projects, sometimes we as parents underestimate what kids are capable of. They are capable of so much. And so when we're talking about something, I'll talk about it with all 3 of my kids. And then what they do, their project might be different. I have the ways to kind of differentiate. Maybe my oldest is going to journal about something or write down her thoughts. Maybe my middle child is going to draw a picture and journal, and it'll be simpler. But my 2-year-old is going to draw pictures about what happened. So there's ways to kind of cater to the ages and stages that kids are in and be able to make the experience meaningful for them on different levels. And I think that's part of the beauty of all of this and doing it in the family setting.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, these are all wonderful tips that I will definitely be taking home today and starting today.
Well, and that's part of it, right? Start today and start small, because, it can feel overwhelming as a parent when there's so many different things that you want to accomplish and so much that you want to do in general. But starting small in little increments and just tackling one thing at a time really makes it digestible and manageable as a parent. We want to do so well in so many different aspects. I have lots of lists that I have, right? I want to do all these things for my work, and I want to do all these things as a person. I'm a big list person. But I think just chunking it off and taking one step at a time to try to reach that goal is really important and really doable.
That sounds very doable, and being able to break it down into those small daily tasks, I think, is huge.
I think the other thing that's really important as a parent is, we've talked about doing these things together. It's the modeling, right? There's this opportunity as a parent to show your kids what's important to you. So if you as a parent are reading regularly, if you as a parent are going out and doing these projects with them, or spending time at the kitchen table, turning what you're already doing into a project, then there's an understanding from the kids, this is important. We're taking time out of our day, which is busy, to actually prioritize this. And that's important to my mom, to my dad, to whoever it is that's working with them. And I think that's an important piece. That modeling really tells kids, this is what my parent cares about.
So this is the time in the podcast where we take some questions that came in from our parents. And so the first question came in from Lamar. And Lamar says, I'm a working parent and I'm so busy. How do I get my family to start with volunteering with an already packed schedule? So what advice do you have for us, MiaLisa?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would say is, Lamar, I completely understand. I too am a busy parent, and it is hard to fit things in that you want to. And that's why there's a couple of tricks that I have that I'll share with you. Like I said, starting small is a really big key. I'm a big fan of Google Calendar. I don't know if any other parents out there use it, but I have lots of different colors. Each color is my kid. Right? I have different schedules that kind of go on there. And I will actually schedule doing some kind of kindness activity on my calendar to give it meaning. Because for me, if there's an appointment on my calendar, I'm going to honor it. It sounds silly, but there's something about carving out actual time. And sometimes Saturdays for us is a really good time to do that. So I will have a little time slot on my Saturday calendar that says, we're going to do something with kindness here. And it might be a project, it might be a reading, it might differ, but I find that carving out that time is the first step for me. I also think the other piece is kind of thinking about, what do you already do? As parents, we already do a ton of things with our kids. My kids love to draw. So we have a stack of paper, and my kids will draw picture after picture after picture. And, as much as I love all of their drawings and want to keep them all, I do have to recycle a number of them. I don't know if other parents out there have this feeling. My older ones, I actually have them, a parent had told me at one point, have them curate their own art and talk about curation. And I take that to heart because I have them do that when they're older. But the littlest ones, I just get tons of pictures. Well, these pictures can make the day for someone, which is amazing. And so instead of having them color from a coloring book, I'll have them color Make a Smile. And that's an organization where you can color some pictures and send it off to someone, or collect the pictures that they have and write a little line at the top and bring it over to a nursing home so the kids can give their pictures to people and share with others. So I think it's just finding the things you already do and leveraging that to bring kindness to others, and then making that space on your calendar. And that's how I've done it in my life. Those are my tips.
I live by my calendar and have never thought about adding kindness as something to do, and completely agree that my children are constantly drawing and doing those type of things, and that those are things that, you're right, you can only save so many. I mean, I think if I saved everything they've ever colored or drawn, my whole house would be full of their drawings and no room for people. Right. So I like the idea of kind of saving those and then sharing those with seniors, and Color a Smile, as you mentioned. Those are really nice, easy things to do, and make me think those are great time fillers. Like when we go to the doctors, I could bring those papers and have them color them while we're waiting in the waiting room, which seems to take forever, and then save those and mail them off to the organization. I love it because that's simple.
Yeah, it's
really
simple.
Easy.
And other things that kind of come to mind, when a holiday kind of creeps up, my kids always have the assignment from school to practice letter writing. Well, here's an opportunity. Let's write a letter to a veteran, right? Or someone who's in a nursing home who needs a little bit of attention. There's actually organizations that will post the names of people and what they're interested in. And so you can have your kid's school assignment actually be part of a giving back project instead of just living in their third grade notebook forever. They can make a copy of it, bring that to the teacher, and send off the actual letter to someone who's going to love the fact that they were connected with.
Well, and that's just so powerful. What a great idea.
All right. Our second question comes in from Natalie. She says, there are so many different projects out there. Where is a good place to start with my children?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we have is our Summer of Kindness bucket list, which is on our website. And I love that because it's a checkoff list. As you already know, I love lists. And so this is a good one for me. I like this list because all of the ideas are very simple, especially for summer. Things like go out and have a mindfulness time with a nature scavenger hunt. So easy. Your kids are going to go outside anyway. Let them look for some things and then teach them a little bit about breathing and some meditation, right? There's an opportunity here to take this and make it a mindful moment. My kids love to go on walks, right? So taking the chalk bucket that you got from Target or Walmart with you and having them write some kind messages on the sidewalk, which will be erased next time it rains, but there's this opportunity to brighten someone's day. Every time I see some happy messages on my bike trail or on my walking path, it really puts a smile on my face. So do that with your kids. That's so easy. If you're planting a garden this summer, right? Take the time to plant an extra row, and it can be donated, right, to people who need some fresh produce. Look at a way to adopt a food pantry. Look and go ahead and check online or check out our website. We actually have a list of some of the highly frequently needed items for the food shelf. And you can go ahead and go shopping and get those things and then distribute them. Or you can just call the food shelf and see what do they really need this week and see if you have it in your own pantry to share. I mean, these are simple kinds of ideas that don't take a ton of time, that you're already doing some activities like walking or planting or gardening, and you can take it and turn it into an opportunity for kindness and for giving back. Other ideas that I've had is go through different library books and just kind of pull out the ones that maybe your kids have outgrown and take some time to donate it to one of those little library stations, the little free libraries that are outside. What an opportunity to share some of the great books that we have with other people.
It never occurred to me to bring sidewalk chalk on a walk and then write kind messages. How easy is that? And it's true, as your child, ages and gets older, there are some books that they just don't read anymore because they've outgrown them. But what a lovely idea to put them in the free little library so another family can enjoy them. I love those ideas. Those are really wonderful. So thank you.
Absolutely.
We had another question from one of our listeners, Grace, and she said, how do my family and I get more involved with doing good together?
Oh, we love to hear questions like that. So I think one of the best ways to get involved would be to check us out on our website, first of all, because you can find all of the tools that we have and subscribe to our listings. If you're in one of the cities that we serve, that's a great way to go ahead and get your family involved. If you're looking to support us, like us on Instagram, check out our posts, but subscribe and get our newsletter and be able to follow some of the things that we do. If you're looking for even more involvement, the membership is a really great way to go because it gives you even more resources and more tools to be able to continue the great work. We've been doing this since 2004, so we have quite a deep bookshelf of all different kinds of opportunities and ideas. And so we catalog a lot of those in that membership for families. And so it's a great opportunity to go a little further.
Perfect. Those are great suggestions. Thank you.
Our final question comes in from Noah. He says, my kids are all different ages. Do you have suggestions on getting my tween or teenager involved too so we can do something together as a family?
That's a really good question. So doing good together actually really our target area is like 3 to 12. But like I've said, I use a lot of the things with my 2-year-old even because I really strongly believe that even young kids can really benefit from the work that we do. I think older kids can benefit too. And so I think one of the things is really getting their input about where their passion lies. So sitting down as a family and thinking about, what do we care about as a family, right? Having that meeting and say, where do we want to put our efforts collectively? Young people love to have their voice heard, and they have so much to say, right? I'm always floored by how amazing and empowered young people can be when given the opportunity to explore their passions. So I think by letting the young people drive where the family is maybe putting their efforts or their talents or their treasure, right? That is a really great way to incorporate youth. I think another great way to incorporate young people is to get their friends involved too, to really kind of work with them to say, okay, so you're passionate about helping with food insecurity. So maybe you talk to your friends and see about how many food shelf items you can raise collectively and actually start something. You have the power to make a difference in this area. Start collecting, start gathering things together, inspire your friends, and you be the ripple of kindness in their lives. And I think that there's something really powerful about that. And then, of course, as a family, taking their friends along with your family, I think also really inspires older kids to be able to kind of connect. Giving them the power to help teach the younger kids as well, I think really speaks volumes to what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to inspire, we're trying to get them to understand the power of gratitude and kindness. And when you're the one actually doing the work and then inspiring others, that's taking it to the next level.
Absolutely. And I think the tip of bringing along a friend is very powerful with that age group. And we just want to thank you so much, MiaLisa, for being here. You've shared so many practical, helpful hints that we as parents can help our children spread that ripple of kindness and build compassion skills and empathy skills. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm grateful.
And we want to let our listeners know that if you have any questions regarding today's episodes, email us at parentingpickup@nhacademy.net.